Sorry.
All right, welcome back, Powers on Sports podcast. Appreciate you finding us. Now it's Major League Baseball playoff time. The wild card round is underway. Divisional round coming up this weekend, and we're going to preview a little baseball. Give you a little. We're going to talk a little Major League Baseball. We're going to talk a little college football with our guest as well, Mr. Chris Perez, former University of Miami Hurricane. We got the big showdown in Tallahassee this weekend. Former Major League closer with the Cleveland Indians and Guardians, LA Dodgers, Cardinals, two-time All-Star. No better person to talk all things playoff wise, pressure, managers, all the stuff that goes into winning these baseball series than Chris Perez. Welcome back, Chris.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's been a while. It's excited to be here.
All right, let's before we get to the baseball, let's give me a little preview of your Hurricanes. They're number top five in the country. Took care of Florida, coming off a bye week. We finally have a Florida State Miami game from back in the day with some national championship implications. Give me your thoughts on your Hurricanes through 4 weeks.
They've looked pretty good. Coach Cristobal's got some pretty good offensive and defensive line play, which usually is the difference in games. So I would have preferred if FSU would have won last week against Virginia, coming in undefeated. They're going to be tough off of a loss at home. But luckily, like you said, we had the bye week, so hopefully we got some like trick plays up our sleeves, and we put our best foot forward. It looks like a crazy year in football, though. It looks like one loss isn't going to eliminate you. So I think FSU, their whole season's on the line. Two losses is kind of
Yep.
tough, but like you said, it's one of those old school top matchup games from the late 80s, early 90s, where you kind of feel like the winner might have a chance to win the championship. So it's exciting. I'm glad they're back up to both those kind of levels.
You got any good stories from when you were a student down there when the Knowles came to Miami?
Oh man, not the game. Well, not when I was a student. It was actually my recruiting visit, my senior year of high school. I was supposed to go down there for I think maybe against Syracuse, and they called me like the week of, and they're like, "Hey, we have to cancel. Do you mind coming down for the FSU game?" And I was like, "No, I don't mind." So I don't know if you remember though. I think it was wide right. That was
Yeah.
the game. Not wide
Okay.
left, but it was wide right. And we had the lead, and they missed the field goal, and we won. And I was on my recruiting trip, so that was probably the most exciting FSU Miami game I can remember being at. Yes.
I bet that was a pretty good night of nightlife after the game as well down that way, huh?
Oh, especially on a recruiting trip. Yeah, it was fun.
All right. What do you give me a prediction for Saturday night again? Tallahassee. I've liked what I've seen out of that Miami team. I like Carson Beck, the offensive and defensive lines. I think Miami's going to win the game too. I hate to say that, but I think Miami's going to win a close one. I think this is a year Miami has every business. No Clemson on the schedule, nor no Georgia Tech. If they can't get to the playoff this year, Chris, when are they
I
going to
know.
make it?
That's especially after blowing it last year. All I had to do was beat Syracuse, and then they still couldn't do that. I know. I'm with you. I think Cristobal has got these guys focused. I think they don't care about their ranking. They know the most important games are later in the year, so I think he's got them focused, especially off a bye week. I think they're gonna win by 10. I'm gonna go 30-20,
There you go.
Miami. But you never know. It's a rivalry game. FSU's beating Miami when they shouldn't have, and vice versa. So it's gonna, like I said, it's gonna be a crazy atmosphere. The Seminoles pretty much have their whole season on the line. If they beat Miami, they're right back in it. If they lose, now it's kind of out of their hands. So you're going to get the best game, but I just think Miami has too much talent up front. And as long as Carson Beck doesn't make any kind of stupid throws down the field, just throws it to whoever's open and takes what they give him, I think Miami should come out on top.
I'm with you. I'm with you. I like that what they're doing down there with Cristobal, and as long as he stays out of the way during the game, coaching wise,
Yeah.
just
Yeah, if they take a knee when they're
that's
up,
right.
and not try to run another play, we'll
That's
be all
right.
right.
All right, let's get to some baseball stuff before we get to the playoff series. Give me a quick thought or two on a couple of the managerial moves that were made this week. Bob Melvin out in San Francisco. A guy you might know, Rocco Baldelli out in Minnesota. Bruce Bochy not coming back to Texas. We don't know yet about Snitker in Atlanta. Anything that surprises you there on the managerial side?
Yeah, the Bob Melvin move. He's a well-respected manager. He's won in a lot of places. And what was this his second year? Or I think it was only his
Yeah.
second year. That's kind of quick for a manager like that. That tells me there must have been some friction between the front office. I know Buster Posey's running things over there. That tells me there must have been some kind of things going on behind the scenes where they just weren't on the same page. The other ones, Rocco Baldelli, he's a good baseball guy. Just, sometimes with a team underperforming, the
Right.
fall guy has to be the manager. Snedeker, he's getting up there in age. Maybe, you never know. I think that's why Bruce Bochy's, stepped down. So yeah, I was kind of surprised to see right off the bat. It seems like it's crazy. Every year there's like 7 or 8 openings in all the major sports for coaches. It's like
Yeah.
you don't get time to change your culture and build your team. It's like you have to win now or we're out. It's just you run out of guys to hire. Like unless you have somebody that's knocking on the door in AAA or in your organization already. It's hard bringing in outside guys and switching up the whole culture of a not only the team but really the front office. Everybody's got to be on the same side with the analytics and the sabermetrics and drafting. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I know Atlanta, they got a talented team. They just didn't have one of those years in them this year. A lot of injuries and stuff. I would like them to bring back Snedeker. I don't think they're out of their competing window yet. Same with the Giants. That's a nice job over there. They've had a couple years of trying to get some top free agents that haven't got landed over there, but they have a great payroll. They have a great fan base. That's a great job over there.
I got a thought for you. Somebody that you live in this area where I'm at here in the Tampa Bay area. I think with the sale of the Rays, with the announcement that the GM and kind of the vice president of baseball operations are stepping down, I think Kevin Cash potentially could be in play somewhere. I don't think he's going to get fired here, but I could see a scenario where he gets traded by the Rays to somebody. Do you see that as a possible scenario this offseason with Cash and the Rays?
I haven't thought about that, but yeah, that is intriguing. Especially if I don't think the manager gets a choice in that, right? He just gets traded like a player. Like I
Right.
don't know how that works. I don't think he would want to leave. Just him being a Tampa guy, born and raised here, and they're always competitive in the toughest division in baseball. But and I only think there's a handful of teams that he would want to go to ahead of the Rays, and I think they're all in the AL East. So,
Hmm.
if he doesn't have a chance or say, I could see that happening. He would he want to go over to San Francisco and go cross country and
Right.
start up, a brand new, adventure over there. If it's not up to him, I don't know, but that is intriguing. I haven't heard anything from the new management about that kind of thing. I did see all the front office guys leaving, and I just worry that that's going to change the Rays. Like those kind of guys, we lost Andrew Freeman a handful of
Right.
years ago. He went over to the Dodgers, and you've seen what he's done over there with his analytics and then a payroll. They've built a monster. It has to be enticing for the front office guys to want to go to greener pastures with more money. At the same time, that's how the Rays have been living, is by making those deals and those trades and the drafts and developing guys. So I hope they can just find somebody to replace them and they keep on going. They still have a lot of talent, but yeah, it's kind of a new era with the ownership taking over, and it's just interesting times in Rays land. Going back to the St. Pete next year and
Yep.
the whole stadium. Wanting to find a place to build a new stadium. It's exciting if you're a fan, but it's also kind of worrisome.
No doubt. No doubt. Is Boone in trouble if he doesn't win this series against the Red Sox with the Yankee as the Yankee manager?
Man, I would hope not. That's got to be the toughest job in the game is Yankees manager. And if you look at his overall body of work, I mean, he's done pretty damn good since he's been there. He just went to the World Series last year. They lost their ace, didn't pitch one inning for them this year,
Right.
and they were up to winning the division to the last day. Like that's hard. Like I said, unless you have somebody that's in place in the organization that is going to be a can't miss guy that knows the culture, knows the city, knows how to manage, been around the team. I wouldn't replace him. I think it's not addition by subtraction at this point. His favorite player, his best player on the team, Aaron Judge, seems to always have his back and enjoys
Right.
playing for him. That's important. And he knows how to deal with that media up there, that circus. So, if they get swept two games by Boston and are out, of course it's going to be a lot of noise up there. But sometimes you gotta and they usually make the right decisions. I mean, if you look at the Yankees are crazy
Pretty
how
patient.
winning.
They've been patient with
Yeah,
Cashman.
they have, and he deserves it. I mean, he makes the playoffs almost every single year. I know he's got a big payroll, but I mean, look at the Mets. Like they have the biggest payroll this year, and didn't make the
Right.
playoffs. So, sometimes it's. I know fans don't want to hear this, but sometimes you max out your team and it's first round of the playoffs. That's our max this year. Like especially
Yep.
like I said, they didn't get one pitch from Cole all year. Imagine if they had Cole and Freed and Rodon lined up right now. They would be I would say the
Favorites.
favorites. Exactly. So I hope that for his sake, I hope they at least get one win. He doesn't get swept, especially at home. I mean, the guy just played in the World Series last year. Like how much? It's just like unrealistic expectations sometimes. And that's New York. They're 27 World Championships. They expect that. So I wouldn't make a move just to make a move. If there's somebody, I don't even know who would be out there that would like Bochy doesn't fit up there. That's not. I don't feel like that's a good fit. Maybe Bob Melvin. I don't know. He seems kind of quiet though, and I don't know how you would deal with that
Right.
media every day. But I'm sure they're gonna sit back at the end of the year and assess all options for sure.
For a guy that's played at the highest level like you have, give the audience a sense and the fans a sense of how hard and what a historic year Cal Raleigh had, hitting 60 plus home runs as a catcher, managing all the things you have to manage with a pitching staff day to day, switch hitting and all that stuff in a place like Seattle. Just give the audience a sense how hard that is and what an accomplishment that is.
Oh, it's incredible. I think that's why if you ask that debate between him and Judge for the MVP, if you ask most players, they'll say like Cal Raleigh had an MVP year, just being a catcher and the amount of abuse they take starting in spring training with blocking balls and foul tips off of them and just all kinds of the squatting every day. People don't realize how hard it is to squat 9 innings every single day and then go try to hit. I think he even has like 12 or 15 stolen bases for a catcher. He's done it all this year, and it's amazing. It was amazing to watch. I personally thought he was going to tire out down the second stretch, the second half, because of the home run derby. I thought that was going to take a lot out of him. He won the home run derby. Especially as a catcher, like that's a
Right.
lot of extra energy you're exerting. But it's incredible. 60 home runs as a primary catcher on a playoff team with a staff that's as good as it is. It's historic. And unfortunately, I still think Judge is going to win the MVP just because he was head and shoulders so much better than everybody else this year in a lot of categories. He just kind of ran into a once in a generation player in Judge, or Cal Raleigh would be your MVP. Now, I know it won't count for the MVP votes, but now if he goes out and carries the team to the World Series, I mean,
Right.
now you're talking about one of the best seasons ever. Especially as a catcher, and it hurts me to say that because he went to FSU. But you got to give respect where it's earned.
No doubt. Unbelievable year for him. All right, let's get this couple the four playoff series. Before you do that, advantage or disadvantage to have 4 or 5 days off, or again for Toronto, Seattle, Philly, and Milwaukee. Give me the pros and cons of having the days off versus not.
Yeah, as a player, I would, if everyone's healthy, if nobody's beat up or anything like that, I would want to keep playing. I would want to have the game today. There's a lot of nervous energy around the playoffs when you're just sitting there and you're practicing during the day, and the game's 3-4 days away. You just wanted to get here, plow right into the series, get going. But if you were, let's say you started your ace on Sunday just to get in, which I don't think any of those teams that happened because they already pretty much clinched it. It's nice having those days off, getting your pitching lined up the way you want it. Having your ace ready to go game one. It's also nice not having to play these games and maybe get eliminated. I mean, I think there's going to be some upsets. Some home teams are going to lose. I think they would much rather have gotten a bye into the next round. You're just surviving. 4 different teams getting eliminated. So it's a kind of a double-edged sword. Every team's coming into the playoffs differently. If, like I said, if you're a little beat up or guys need a day off or here, there, it's nice having those 4, 5, 6 days off.
What are you
Will you
guys
lose?
doing physically on Tuesday? If you have 4 or 5 days off, what are the
Yeah.
teams physically doing today, tomorrow, Thursday? Like just
You're
as a team.
yeah, you're showing up to the ballpark for a practice, getting your treatment. If anybody's had, a strained hamstring or anything, you're getting ice and treatment on the road. And then you're taking infield, outfield, a BP on the field. Pitchers are throwing bullpens. If you're a game 3 starter, you're probably throwing your bullpen today. If, relievers, if they feel like they need to throw, they're throwing a bullpen. I don't think anybody's at the stage where they're doing like a live game situation. I think,
Yep.
3 or 4 days isn't long enough for that. So yeah, you're getting your work in. You're getting ready. Everyone's getting ready to be available for that game 1 of the next round. If you feel good, you don't need to take BP today. You'd rather have the whole day off. You're still showing up because you're part of the team. But you tell Skip, hey, I don't really need to take BP today. My hand's a little sore, whatever. All right, take another day. It's loosey goosey. The atmosphere is fun.
Yep.
Everyone's looking forward to that big game, especially if you're the home team. You're envisioning all those fans that are going to be in the stands, and it's exciting. And like I said, you just wanted to get here. You want to get right into it. It's kind of like Christmas. A week out. You want it to be Christmas Eve tomorrow. So it's the best time of the year.
All right, so we're recording this on Tuesday, folks. So some of these wild card games are going to be either the series are going to be over, so you're going to or into game three here when you're listening to this, or even onto the weekend heading into the divisional round. So we're just going to do a quick little preview of these series. When you're listening, you may already know the results of this, which is fine. But I want to get Chris's analysis on these series. Let's start in the National League. Reds, Dodgers. Chris, you got the
Yeah.
storylines of the youth and exuberance of the Reds. They backdoor their way and they lose on the last day of the year. The knocked the Mets out by the Mets losing in Florida. You've got the Ohtani scenario where he's probably going to pitch game three if need be. And you got Hunter Green for the Reds. You got Francona leading that young group. Just give me a quick thought on this series with the youth versus the evil empire.
Yeah. On paper, it's David versus Goliath, without a doubt. Payroll wise, all stars, MVPs, Hall of Famers on the Dodgers, where you got the Reds who have basically been fighting for their lives for the last month and a half, 2 months, with a new manager who's Hall of Famer and Tito Francona. It's gonna be tough for them, especially going on the road for 3 games and having to face the team that's been there, done that for the last, it seems like, decade almost. It's gonna be hard. That said, if there's a guy on their staff that can go in there and shut down the Dodgers bats for 6, 7 innings and give his team a chance to score some runs, that's Hunter Green. Unbelievable stuff. Early in his career, it was a little unrefined, a lot of walks, a lot of hitting counts. Now he's figured it out. He gets ahead. He's got wipeout stuff. I think game one is very important. There's no way. I don't think there's any way the Reds can recover from an 0-1 start and win the last two. There's just too many stars over there for the Dodgers that can beat you on a given night, starting with Ohtani. But at the same time, you go in there and you steal game one. Now the pressure's flipped, straight over to that other dugout. Dodgers are playing for their life tomorrow, so it's very interesting. If Hunter can go 6 innings, I think the Reds are going to win. If the Dodgers come out and get him out of there by the fourth or the third, it's going to be a long series for the Reds. But on paper, it's definitely favored for the Dodgers, and I'll go with them to advance.
All right, for a guy that I know because you played with this guy, give the audience a little thought or two about Clayton Kershaw, probably the best pitcher of this generation. He announced he's going to be retiring. He's not on the wild card roster, probably will be on the divisional roster if they make it to the divisional round. Give me a thought or two about playing with Kershaw, what kind of guy he is, and all that stuff, and how great he was in his prime.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like you said, I think he's the best pitcher of our generation. I know Verlander and Scherzer are up there too, but just the way he's dominated from his rookie year until this being his last year, I think he got 10 wins this year, as in his last year, and I think he's got more in there. I think he could pitch a couple more years, but obviously he doesn't want to, and he's just the ultimate. I mean, everyone's heard about it. He's just the ultimate competitor. He's when it was his day to pitch, you knew he had done all his homework and was ready to go out there and pitch 6 or 7 innings. I got to play with him in 2014. He won the MVP that year. He just every time he went out, you knew he was going 7 to 8 innings and we were going to have a chance to win. And also off the field, he's just as, I think you've seen it come out the last couple of years in the twilight of his career. He's such a good teammate. He really enjoys what he does and being out there and approachable. You could ask him, anything about pitching. He didn't hesitate to answer your questions or show you something, or just a great teammate too. So yeah, hats off to him. Like I said, I think he has 3 or 4 more years on him, but I know he's had some back problems in recent years and stuff. So you never know exactly how that body's feeling, and he gets to go out kind of on top. I mean, like I said, a great year. I think he was 10-2 or 10-3 on a divisional, winning team. So now he can try to make his mark in the playoffs and try to get another ring and then call it a career. So congrats to him. One of the, truly professional guys out there.
For sure.
And obviously, if he isn't the best pitcher of the generation, definitely the best lefty, without a doubt.
Right. No doubt. He'll definitely be in the Hall of Fame at some point, just a matter of when and all that stuff. And like I said, the last true kind of bulldog of this generation. All right, let's go to Padres Cubs. in Wrigley, be an awesome setting in Wrigley Field, afternoon games. You got the strength of the San Diego bullpen. You got star power with the Padres, with Tatis and all those guys that they got over there, Machado. Then you got the athleticism and the kind of upstart Cubs. You got PCA, you got Craig Counsell, you got a couple of the international guys that are playing for the Cubs, Imanaga and company. Give me a thought or two about this series.
Yeah, it's almost kind of like the Dodgers Reds, although the I wouldn't call the Cubs David with their huge payroll and
Right.
everything. But the Padres got a lot of veterans on that team that have, been in this kind of situation for the last couple of years, trying to chase down the Dodgers and
Kind of
Machado.
underachieved. They've
Yeah, they kind of
underachieved.
have. They kind of have. And now I feel like nobody's really looking at them. I don't hear anybody picking the Padres to win the World Series or anything. And I think they're gonna actually surprise some people. I think this is gonna be their year. They're gonna make a run. The Cubs, they've had a good year. They've got a lot of good players. I think there is something to be said about experience. And I know Craig Counsell's been there, done that before, but PCA hasn't, and some of their other guys haven't. I think they're missing one. I know their pitching staff's had a good year. I think they're missing that one dominant guy. Now, Matthew Boyd last year was that guy for the Tigers. He was on fire through a lot of shutout innings. If he can do that again, obviously being at home, things look good. But I think the Padres are going to take it when it's all said and done. I think they're going to get some late inning heroics from one of their masters, either Machado or even Tatis
Right.
I just think they're with their bullpen. I think if they get a lead going, after the fifth inning, I think it's kind of lights out. So that puts a lot of pressure on the home team. So I'm gonna go with the Padres to take that one.
No doubt. All right, let's go Boston, New York. You got the classic rivalry in the Boogie Down in the stadium. Again, pressure on both sides. Again, with the possibility of Boone and all that stuff. The Yankees haven't won a World Series in forever. Red Sox again, came out of nowhere this year. Not a lot of people thought they were going to be really, really good. Core's done a really good job there. They're missing Roman Anthony, kind of their up and coming star player. But again, classic rivalry in Yankee Stadium.
Yeah, it's gonna be. I think this is gonna be the best series out of them all. I think this goes 3 games. The Red Sox have a good mixture of veterans slash young guys. The Yankees are the Yankees. I think it's no surprise they run kind of through Aaron Judge. So I think whoever wins game one is going to have the best chance to win overall. I think it's going to be coming down to like a bullpen game. The starters are pretty even, I feel like, across the board. I think the Yankees have, I think the Red Sox have a slight edge in the bullpen with Chapman, the way he's been throwing this year. When it's all said and done, I think it's going to come down to what Aaron Judge does. If the Red Sox are able to limit his damage or walk him in big situations, and get the next guy out, either Giancarlo Stanton or Chisholm or whoever they have hitting behind Judge, I think that's where the series is won. I'm going to take Boston in 3 games over New York. I know I'm going with a lot of road teams, but um, you know the pressure in New York is like no other. Let's say they lose game one and they're down early in game two, they're going to feel it from the fans, and that does make you over press and try to quiet those
Yeah.
boos and try to turn around the momentum. And honestly, the only one in the lineup that kind of feeds off of that is Judge. So if Judge is neutralized, it's going to, I think the Red Sox have a great chance. That's a big if. But Crochet is one of the best lefties in the game, has a lot of swing and miss stuff. I feel like he can navigate around Judge in game one. And then after that, if you get game one, then after that, anything's possible. So I'm going to take the Red Sox, and then in a close, 3-game set, might even go extra innings.
In the divisional round, let's talk about the divisional round a little bit with the Mariners, Blue Jays, Phillies, and Milwaukee. Which of those four teams do you like the most as far as most complete teams?
Man, I like Seattle.
Yep.
I know they play on the West Coast a lot, and not everybody gets to watch them a lot. Their pitching staff can be downright dominant. So the question mark always is the offense, and they made a great move at the All Star break getting Eugenio Suarez, who had been there before. So he's used to the culture, he's used to the teammates, and he's continued to hit bombs. I think he got 49 or 50. So it's
Yeah.
not like it's just I don't think it's just Cal Raleigh. And then
Right.
you have Julio Rodriguez has really turned it on too. He had a quiet MVP type of season. If you look at all the metrics on defense and home runs and stolen bases, and their pitching staff, like I said, they don't walk guys, which is great in the postseason. You don't want to give any extra base runners because that's a rally. Their bullpen's pretty good. Dan Wilson. He doesn't get a lot of accolades, but he's been around the game forever. He's a former catcher. He's
Yeah.
been there, done that. So yeah, I like Seattle. All those teams are good. That's why they have the buys. The Phillies, I mean, it's hard to replace a guy like Wheeler. I
Right,
know they have,
right.
but I mean, just for a mental standpoint, like it's hard when you have that bulldog that you know is going to go out there and give you seven.
Yep.
Uh, it's a lot easier across the board. It takes a lot of pressure off the rest of the pitching staff. Takes the pressure off the hitters. That's a tough loss. And then the other
Can they
two,
manufacture runs the Phillies without hitting a home run? That's my
that's the
concern
question.
is you either hit home runs or they struggle.
Yep, that's the question in the playoffs too, because you know you're facing the best pitching staffs that don't give up historically a lot of home runs. So, yeah, a lot of that's Trey Turner. Can you get on base, steal some bases, and Bryce Harper, and they got the guys. But like I said, I'm sure they'd much rather have Wheeler sitting there for game one and game four, in a series.
Yep.
And then the other buys, Toronto. Their pitching staff is still a question mark for me. I know they came through the AL East and pitched all year there. Do they have shutdown guys? Can they win a 2-1 ball
Gossman.
game? Yeah, Gossman. They got some veterans, Barrios, some veteran guys. I know Gossman can be an ace sometimes out there, but sometimes you need to have those 6 innings, no runs, stuff like that to give your offense a chance. It's gonna be interesting. Their fan base is gonna be crazy during those games. So yeah, but Seattle, Milwaukee, I feel like this break's gonna hurt them. They're a younger team. I know they got Christian Yelich as their leader and veteran presence, but most of their stars are young guys. The pitching staff, same way. Most of their guys are young. I feel like the breaks kind of maybe hurt their momentum a little bit. But you never know. They had a great year. They got some mojo working. Pat Murphy's a great manager. He's won wherever he's been in college or now the majors. So, and who's the fourth team? We got
You
Toronto,
got
Seattle.
yeah, in Toronto. Yeah, we got them all. Yeah, you're good.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Would you
But yeah,
rather would you rather in the divisional round if you're Toronto, Milwaukee, Seattle, would you rather play a fellow division opponent or somebody from another division that you haven't seen as much?
if I'm Seattle, I'd rather face a division opponent, especially with that pitching staff. They know what works. They know what doesn't.
Especially like
Milwaukee.
Toronto, they're going to play the
Yeah,
winner of the Yankees Red Sox no matter what. So they're
I
getting a
think
division opponent.
I think that's a negative for Toronto, honestly. Those AL East teams are all so even. It comes down to a couple games during the year to whoever wins the overall series. And the hitters with the Yankees and the Red Sox, I think it's more advantageous for them knowing the pitching staff they're going up against in Toronto so well.
Tell me about your mentality as the closer. Talk to me about the adrenaline of being in a playoff game, ninth inning of a playoff game versus a regular season game in March, in April or May or July. Just talk about that feeling of the electricity in the ballpark during the playoffs.
Yeah, you either feed off of it or you fold off of it. Your heart rate's definitely going, so you have to take some extra breaths, and it's even harder now with the pitch clock because you don't get that chance. But yeah, it's your heartbeat's going, the adrenaline's pumping. You just got to tell yourself I always told myself in big games like that, try to keep the ball down, even if it's down the middle. Just try to keep it down, try to limit damage. If you get ahead, don't wait around, go for the strikeout right away because every pitch you throw, if it's 0-2 and the hitter works it back to 3-2, now it's just more pressure on you. So when you're ahead in the count, try to put them away, and at the same time, just get outs. I don't want strikeouts if it's 3 pop-ups, that's fine. 3 ground ball, you just want to try to get outs and limit your pitch count. And this time of year, you never know if you have to go 2 innings or more to get a win. So yeah, try to keep the ball down low, breathe, and hope you get some outs.
And last thing, I'll get you out of here. Talk about, like you said, talk about the managers. Talk about the mentality of for 162 games, you might manage one way, but now when you're in a 1 or 2 game situation where all the pressure's on the line, the season's on the line, do you let that starter, a guy like Scooble for Detroit, do you let him go 120, 25 pitches if need be because you're worried about your bullpen? Talk about the mentality of gut decisions by managers versus analytics, and you've been going by the spreadsheet all year.
Yeah, it's that's one of the fun things to watch nowadays is that's one of the most important decisions that a manager makes is to keep that starter in or to go to your bullpen. Every team's different. Obviously, if I have a bullpen like the Guardians or the Padres or been locked down almost all year, it's a lot easier to pull that starter after the 5th inning and go to your bullpen. At the same time, if your starter's cruising, why would you change anything up? Why give a different look to the hitters over there? So, like in the Tiger situation, if I was the manager, if I'm Hinch, I'm riding Scooble for 125 pitches. I mean, He's a young horse. He hasn't had injury history. He's a competitor. He seems to, get better the longer the game goes. And if he's dealing, like I said, why switch it up? Let him ride. You can rest in the offseason, the way I look at it. Now, that's why that first game's so important. You get that first win under your belt. Now you feel
Yeah.
like, all right, I got 2 games to win one. Maybe I don't push the bullpen so hard in game 2, and hopefully the offense comes through. And if not, well, then I got everybody ready for game 3. So yeah, game 1 in these short 3-game series is so important. But every team's different. The Padres, they have a little more of a veteran pitching staff. You Darvish or somebody, you might want to get him out of there in the 5th inning and go to your shutdown bullpen. At the same token, if he's dealing, let him go. He's a veteran. He knows kind of how to manage a game. I would let him go, but every team's different. You got to go by your gut sometimes. Sometimes the pitcher just doesn't have it, or he's making stressful pitches from the first inning on.
Right.
If a guy's cruising for 4 innings and gets into a little jam in the 5th, you're like, all right, let's let him work out of this. He's been cruising. Whereas if a guy's had base runners from the first inning on making stressful pitches, that takes a lot
Right.
more out of you physically with the adrenaline swings. So every situation is different. Me personally, I like to go by my gut. Like I said, if Scooble's out there for me, my horse, going to be the 2-time Cy Young winner, I'd rather go down with him than anybody out of the bullpen. So obviously, if he's feeling fine, health plays a role into it. But if he's like, yeah, boss, I'm ready to go, I'm riding that horse.
I hear you. All right, Chris, well, enjoy the wild card round. Enjoy the start of the divisional round. We'll have you on as we get towards the AL Championship and National Championship Series. Keep up the great work, man. Appreciate the time. And again, everybody go check out Chris on his Twitter feed. You go find Chris Perez all over the place. He does a great job. Again, 2-time Major League All-Star closer. Been in these playoff moments. Been feeling what these guys are going to be feeling these next couple weeks. So, Chris, great job, man. Appreciate the time. We'll talk soon. Okay.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Jason. Anytime.
You got it.